topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Tampa. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Today is our financial show. We're going to be doing our show on wealth management today with Ray Ferrara, and he is with Provise. And I got to tell you, good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Steve. Nice to be with you.
Oh my God, Ray, I got to tell you, yesterday I did something I rarely do. I went through the drive-up window at Burger King, of all places, and I got 3 items. It was $16. What is going on out there?
Well, we certainly have had some pretty significant inflation over the last year and a half or 2 years. The bad news is that at one point it was up to 9% on the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And the good news is that as of last month, that's dropped down to 3% on the CPI. However, the index that is favored by the feds, which is the excluding food and energy, which are very volatile, it's still hovering around 5%. So I think we're going to, and we can talk more about this later, but I think we're probably going to see another rate increase next week. Here in Florida, however, it was reported that inflation is running much higher than the national average. And frankly, that's not too surprising because there's a flip to that side that is good news if you own a residential real estate. The reason cost of living here in Florida has gone up so much and has stayed persistently high. So we've got 1,000 people a day moving here, not enough space for people to find homes and lodging, and therefore the price of rents and the price of homes has continued to be greater here in Florida than it is in other places. I think we'll continue to see inflation moderate and move down. But as we learned, for those of us that were around in the 70s, it's not easy to get rid of inflation. And so we'll probably still see it in the news for another 12 months before it starts to go to the back page of the newspaper and the backside of a radio show, as opposed to being the first question out of the box on a Monday morning.
Ray, what's going to happen to all these, I guess, elderly people that are on a fixed income? What's going to happen to them?
Well, interesting that you should ask. This morning I was writing a bullet to go into the Provise Perspectives, which we send out to our clients and friends every 2 weeks. And anybody who wants to get on that mailing list, all they have to do is call our 800 number that's scrolling across the bottom and say, put me on the mailing list, and we'll be happy to do so. But Allianz recently did a survey that talked about the retirement crisis becoming a retirement catastrophe on the very point that you're making. A person on a fixed income has seen their cost of living over the past 2 years increase by almost 17%.
Oh my gosh.
Said another way, $1,000 today buys only about $830 worth of goods and services that it did just 2 years ago. And that's, it's rare that prices ever decline. And as bad as inflation is, deflation is even worse. So prices generally don't go down, or don't go down overall, don't go down a lot. So it's something that stays with us for a much longer period of time. And those that are on a fixed income in retirement that are dealing with Social Security, in spite of all the inflation that we've been talking about this morning, right now the projection is that the inflation adjustment to Social Security is only going to be in the neighborhood of about 3%, when the inflation number that's used by the Federal Reserve is running at about 5%. Still time to tell, because the official number won't come out until September, but that's the preliminary number.
Okay. So let's talk about first the Fed first. Let's talk about them. They're meeting next week. Is that correct?
They are next Tuesday and Wednesday.
And what should we expect out of that?
Well, the market is expecting 93% are saying that the Fed will raise rates another 25 basis points. And given that the market seems to have accepted this, and the stock market anyway, the equity market hasn't turned over, I think the Fed will definitely take advantage of that expectation and do another 25 basis points. The bigger question becomes, what will they do at their September meeting? And I think a lot of that is going to depend on the inflation numbers that we get for August, July and August, I should say, because they'll get both of those data points before they meet again. And if it continues to decline the way it has, then I think there's a pretty good chance that they will take another pause and maybe even stop raising interest rates. On the other hand, if we see that inflation itself is taking a pause from going down, and it is still in the neighborhood of 3% in September, then I think that they will raise it again. And at that point, I don't want to predict a recession, but I would say that the odds of a recession in early 2024 are significantly enhanced. Steve, one of the issues that people are grappling with today is, has the Fed given enough time to what they've already done to take full effect? And giving particularly the results of June's numbers being at 3% on the CPI, there's a lot of people making the argument that maybe 25 is okay, but 50 is going to be the tipping point. We'll just have to wait and see what the data says.
What about retirees, Ray? Should retirees take Social Security as soon as they retire?
Well, the interesting part is that more people are taking Social Security earlier than they ever have. You can take it at age 62. And the earlier you take it, the longer you hopefully are going to get it, but you're also going to get a reduced amount. If you take it at 62 instead of full retirement age, which is 67 today, it's a 30% reduction in your benefit. So again, using the $1,000 as an example,
right?
If at their full retirement age they would get $1,000, if they take it at age 62, they're only going to get $700, and that is going to continue for the rest of their life. Now, if they continue to work, it may go up a little bit because of the way the formula works, but you'll always end up with that 30% reduction. And so it's been shown that those that are lesser educated, are in lower paying jobs, or in bad health, are particularly going to take it early. Our advice to our clients is at least wait until age 67. where actually almost 50% will have already taken it before full retirement age at that point. And if possible, wait until age 70, because it will go up another 24% over the next 3 years if you don't take it at 67 and you wait until you get to 70. It's a complicated decision. It's not an easy one. And we've got software to help our clients and potential clients to make these important decisions, because they're almost invariably forever decisions. And so when you do it, you want to try to get it right the first time, because it's very hard to go back and recover from a mistake that you made earlier.
You know, Ray, I'm curious. You have clients across the country. You're in the Tampa area. What kind of questions are you mostly getting from clients?
The big questions today are going to be what do we think is going to happen with the stock market? That would be kind of number one.
I knew you were going to say that.
And in light of the fact that the market hit a low in October last year, and there was all of this talk about a recession, and if a recession comes, it's going to be the most anticipated recession ever, because we've been talking about it almost for a year and a half now, ever since the Fed started raising interest rates. And while the market has recovered very nicely and up more than 20% off of its low, which many people would say is a classic definition of a new bull market, the breadth of that market has been very small. 80% of the gain in the S&P 500 this year has come from 7 stocks, all of which are those big name tech companies. And so the breadth of the market has been very slight. And that's been a concern. Now, the good news is, in trying to answer the client's question about the market, is that given the lofty values that these tech stocks have reached, it may be possible that the other 493 stocks that haven't participated in the rally in any significant way may start to move up at this point and continue to prop up the market, even though these tech stocks might see themselves fall back to lesser valuations than where they are today. So that's number one, is the stock market, and that's kind of our take. If we do have that recession, the market is sure to go down, but we think it'll be a brief recession and a relatively shallow one, as do most people, and hence the retraction in the stock market hopefully would not lead to going back to the October lows from last year. The second big question is again around the stock market, but now dealing with the presidential elections that are some 15, 16 months away next year. Seems like we just had one, and now here we are having another one just around the corner. Traditionally, the year that there is an incumbent running, the stock market tends to go up. In this year, the year before the election, and so far we've been seeing that, and that's because whoever's in power at that particular time is doing everything they can to make the economy be humming extremely well, leading into the election year, so that they can pound their chest and talk about what a great job they've done with the economy. And even this morning, there were White House officials talking about how the president, who has been blamed for all of the inflation, how great he is that he's driven it down from 9% to 3%. So the economy is going to play a big role. There has been no president reelected in modern history with a recession in the 2 years leading up to the election. That was the incumbent. And so the worst thing that could happen for President Biden would be that even a mild recession occurred early next year. That would certainly dampen people's enthusiasm to continue to vote for it. And then I would say the third thing that people are wondering about is, why are my banks not paying me any more interest than they are on savings accounts, given that interest rates have gone up so much? And there's a host of reasons as to why that's happened. And what we've been doing with many clients and potential clients as they've come to us is we've moved them into government money market funds that are currently paying somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4.7%, as opposed to most banks that are still on savings accounts are still paying less than 1%. So those are the three big topics: what's going to happen to the market, what's going to happen in the election cycle, and why aren't banks paying me more money?
We can say all day long, that the economy is getting better. But I got to tell you, Ray, people go to the grocery store and they see how much it costs to buy food. I saw gas today just went up again. It's kind of hard to believe that the economy is getting better when all we see are everything. It's not just the grocery store. Everything is going higher. How do you explain that?
So, unfortunately, as we talked about before, inflation is endemic. Once you've gotten it, it's hard for it to go backwards, except in some of the more volatile areas like commodities, energy, food, where it can drop back. But Steve, you're right. It's hard to not go to the grocery store today buying what I'm going to say are basic household supplies and food for a couple of days, and not come out having spent at least $100. Often several $100s, depending upon what things you may be buying. The good news is that while wages have not kept up with the rate of inflation over the last couple of years, they have the last year increased rather dramatically, which is helping a little bit. But much as in the 70s, we were very concerned about gasoline going from 25 cents a gallon to 35 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And we haven't obviously seen the price go backwards. We're going to have to adjust gasoline today, not being at $2.50, but $3.50. And it's likely here to stay for a long time. So it's going to take all of us to make choices as to how we spend our money, because inflation is here, and the bad inflation that we've had over the last couple of years isn't going to go back down at some time in the future.
Let's go to Sally in Palm Harbor. She said, I heard someone say that the other day that Social Security is taxable. I've been on Social Security for years. I don't think I've paid taxes on it. What gives?
Well, Sally, first of all, thank you for your question. And Steve, just remind our listeners that if they have a question they'd like for us to answer, all they have to do is give our office a call. We just tell us the question and give us your first name. Don't have to give us anything else, and we'll be happy to try to answer it. And our number is scrolling across the screens, but it's 800-633-3049. That's 800-633-3049.
Give me your website too, Ray.
Sure, Steve. It's very simple. It's provise.com, PROVISE.com. And if you there's an opportunity for you to leave information there. So if you'd prefer to leave your question there in our info box, you can do that. Sally, as it comes to Social Security, there are a lot of people who are not aware that their Social Security is taxed, but it can be. and up to 85% of it can be. Back in the mid 90s, for the first time, back in the Reagan administration in the 80s, for the first time, there was an agreement to tax up to 50% of Social Security if your income was over $32,000. And that was the first time that Social Security was taxed. Previously, it was a non-taxable. I don't want to call it tax-free because obviously we all pay Social Security taxes, and it is a form of tax itself. But when it came back to us prior to then, it was not taxable. Today, if your adjusted gross income is over $32,000, then up to 50% will be taxed. And then during the mid 90s in the Clinton administration, they decided that they would, if your income exceeded $42,000, that they would tax up to 85% of your Social Security. And the unfortunate part is those two numbers have not changed in the 30, 40 years since they were first brought up. So every year, Steve, more and more people are finding themselves with their Social Security becoming taxable and ending up with less money in order to sustain themselves. And as we talked about earlier, the people who are really being affected are those on smaller incomes who feel that taxation much greater than those that are fortunate enough to have significantly higher income than those limits. So, Sally, it is taxable. Was with a client the other day who swore that it wasn't taxable. We got out his tax return, and there it was. 85% of the $45,000 that he and his wife had collected was in the income category of being taxed. So hopefully that helps explains the confusion around taxation on Social Security.
Hey, Ray, you know what? I love doing this because I think you've got one of the finest companies in the country when it comes to wealth management, financial planning. Tell people why they should secure your firm.
Steve, I want to say that there are a lot of, first of all, there are a lot of good people in the financial business. But I suggest to people that the number one filter that you want to look at is those that have the CFP designation, as I do, after my name, and that stands for Certified Financial Planner. The reason that that's important as your first filter, in my opinion, and by all means, I'm biased, have not only having the designation, but having been the chair of the Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards back in 2014, is that it demonstrates that I've gone through a rigorous education class and continuing education to keep the designation. Secondly, beyond education, hopefully that education shows the competence that we have to do the things that we do. But most importantly, a CFP professional, when providing financial advice as defined by the CFP board, they must act at a fiduciary standard of care, that is keeping the client's interest above everything else, including that of the financial planner. And if you want to find a CFP in your area, you can simply go to cfpboard.org. They have a find a planner, and you can look up by zip code financial planners that are nearby you that have the CFP designation. The next filter that I suggest is to interview at least 3 CFP professionals and look for that CFP professional that has what I refer to as a good table side manner. You know, we all talk about a doctor who has a good bedside manner, somebody
Yes.
who'll take the time to explain to us what's going on, what our alternatives are, what are the different things the tests that they may run and why they're running them. Well, you want to look for somebody who's a good communicator, somebody who listens to you, what you have to say, that they're not in there, beating their chest saying, let me tell you how great I am.
Right.
But they're more interested in what are your concerns. So those three now start to think about those that have that good table side manner. And then that third filter that I would suggest to you is while you're in those meetings, a lot of people, even CFPs, unfortunately, sometimes say they're financial planners, but they never write a financial plan. All they're interested in is collecting the assets and start charging a fee. But you want them to commit to doing a written financial plan. Sometimes it can be as simple as one page with a bunch of bullets on it. Other times it can be a really thick document, depending upon the financial situation. But you want them to provide a plan. We have 14 CFP professionals at Provise. We all subscribe to the fiduciary obligations, the ethical standards that we have. Hopefully, you'll find that we have a good table side manner, and you will find it easy to communicate with us. And almost all of our relationships begin with a financial plan of some nature. And the only reason I say almost is because some of our clients are not people. They're pension funds. They are organizations with endowments like charities, et cetera. So obviously you're not doing a financial plan for them, but individually, everybody ends up with some type of a financial plan.
Give everybody your phone number, Ray.
The phone number is 800-633-3049. That's 800-633-3049. And our website is very simple, just provise.com, PROVISE.com. Lots of good information there at the website, and a great way for you to introduce yourself to our firm by looking around and seeing who we are, and what we do.
Raymond Ferrara is his name. Provise Management Group, 800-633-3049. And Raymond will be back with us again, I believe. Is it next week or the week after, Raymond?
It is next Monday. It's going to be
1
week from today.
Raymond will be back with us next Monday. So get your questions ready. And we're going to go to break right now. When we come back, we have more of Ask the Experts. Thanks, Raymond.
Steve, take care.
You too, bud.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. I'm your host, Steve-O. We're going to be spending the next 20 minutes talking about the Ask the Expert show. We thought this would be a great time to talk about the show. You might have a business and you want to promote your business on podcast, radio, or streaming TV, you don't have a very big budget, this is the best way to go. For years, we had our show on radio. And I got to tell you, since we've moved over to podcast, we have a much larger audience. Our experts are doing so much better. And it is just, I am so glad we made the move. And we were on big radio stations in different markets, including the Tampa market. And it wasn't bad. It's just people just don't seem to be listening to radio anymore. But I was shocked by how many people listen to podcasts. When I would tell people we're moving our show over to podcasts and TV, they were like so excited, more excited than us being on radio. A lot of the new cars that are coming out, they aren't even putting AM radio in the cars anymore. And it's just because so much of communications and media is going to podcasts. There's a Michael Savage had a huge show. He was the second largest radio show next to Trump. And I'll never forget this. He said, I'm leaving radio because my hands are so tied and I'm moving over to podcast. I went, how can he do anything like this? I mean, he's going to lose so many listeners. Do you know when he moved over to podcast, he nearly doubled his audience? Nearly doubled it. And that showed me right then people are listening to podcasts. What we've done with Ask the Experts, and this is our 10th year in business, we offer help in legal, health, financial, and home improvement. If you own a business in any of those areas, you should call us at 954-336-3767. Call us up and tell us about your business. And we can position you as the expert to our listeners where you get all the referrals. I am telling you, this is the best way to promote your business now. Now, there's a lot of people doing their own podcasts and they're saying that, why should I pay your rates? Because we pay for this and we pass that along to our experts. Our listeners don't have to pay any money. And the reason why is, first of all, we are with one of the greatest companies, W4CY.com, one of the greatest companies. And they do a lot of promoting. And that's where your cost comes in, is you can't just have a website and do a podcast. You have to promote it, and you have to promote it heavily. And our show runs on iHeart, Facebook, let's see. I guess it would be. It's amazing. I just went blank. Somebody just wrote us, and I was reading their text. But anyway, we're iHeart, Apple, Facebook. These are all major players in the industry, and our shows run on those shows. We're in iHeart's library. All of our shows are. And again, the person just wrote in was actually just wondering our phone number, which is 954-336-3767. and it's very easy. We have a lot of people who say, well, I've never done radio or TV before, and I'm really afraid to do it. But I got to tell you, these people, when they do their first show, and we hold their hand through the show, when these people do their first show, the first thing they always say is, oh my God, it went by so fast. And it does, even though it's a 25-minute show, it does go by fast. So it's easy to do. We ask you to help us put together questions for the show. And then a lot of times we have viewers and listeners who send in questions from the show. We have several of our shows that we get so many questions that we don't ever even go to the phone. We just read the questions, the ones that are written to us. But we really hold your hand. And, we know there's a lot of businesses that would like to do a podcast. Ours is turnkey. We do everything for you. Now, the only thing we ask of you is that you also promote it. For example, putting your show on your website, promoting on your website, any other advertising you do. Promote that you have a show, a 25-minute show every month. And let me go over the markets that we're in. We're in the South Florida market. We're in Tampa. We're in Orlando. We're in Las Vegas. We're in Los Angeles. We're in Atlanta, Philadelphia, and make sure we're in Houston, Dallas also. So we're in a lot of the Texas markets. So if you're in any of those markets, you have a business, give us a call at 954-336-3767. We're also, if you're watching the show, we're running it on our scroll right now, 954-336-3767. Folks, this is really an incredible way to market your business, especially when you don't have a big budget. And our show is just like the big boys do. Same exact thing. And we can really turn your show into something very special. So the show is called Ask the Experts. We have developed this name. We have been around for the last 10 years. That's a long time. And another thing is we will give you some of the best experts, which means you're getting the best advice you possibly can. So just to give you an idea of some of the areas that we like to cover. In the legal area, of course, personal injury and workers' comp, family law, bankruptcy law, also property damage. If your property is damaged and the insurance company doesn't want to give you what's rightfully yours, they'll come in. This law firm will come in, and they will negotiate with the insurance company. Imagine that, having a law firm come in, and they only get paid on a percentage. So you don't have to cut them a check. Same thing with workers' comp and personal injury. We do criminal law. That's another big area for us. In the health areas, we do hearing aids. We do weight loss. We're also very big on anything having to do with anti-aging or weight loss. We have probably one of the greatest weight loss shows out of Los Angeles you could possibly imagine, with a doctor there. Other areas, financial, we just got through with our wealth management show, financial planning. Also in the area, we do all different areas of insurance, but we have a Medicare show, which talks about, enrolling in Medicare. Oh, that is a great show. We do talk about tax relief. If you're in trouble with the IRS, we have some of the greatest experts on tax relief. These are all shows that we offer every day, Monday through Friday. We have a new show, and you might not be interested in, let's just say, wealth management. You might not even be interested in that area, but I promise you, we have an area for you that you will be interested in. Again, if you would like to get your business involved with our show, it's 954-336-3767. I just wanted to spend some time with you this morning and to talk about our Ask the Expert show and how you can get involved in it. I am telling you, it is the way of the future, and we're in the future right now. Again, I started noticing the numbers coming down in radio. A lot of people don't listen to radio anymore. And again, I thought Michael Savage was crazy from taking down this so successful show in over 600 radio stations across the country. And he went to podcast. And that's what we've done. We've done the exact same thing. We've gone to podcasts, and we're more flexible now because before all of our shows had to be on the weekends. That was the only thing available with radio. Now all of our shows are Monday through Friday. We have got the greatest producers, professional producers, and it would be so worth your business while to get involved with the Ask the Experts radio show. We've now moved it to Ask the Experts TV show because we do live streaming now. Again, we're running the number across the scroll. If you have any questions, I think you're going to be very amazed at the price. You can get 3 shows for well under $1,000. 3 25-minute shows for well under $1,000. That's a great way to spend your money marketing your product. I hope, I wanted to share this information with you. Today is our Tampa market, and I will be doing this throughout this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You have no idea how much we appreciate your listenership, your viewership. We'll see you again next Monday at 9 o'clock with Ask the Experts. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.